guys, it is Jessica and I am back with another video for you guys. Today's video is all about how to pay off your student loans. I have been out of college for 3 years now and I'm still chugging away on my student loans. When I graduated, I think I had roughly $42,000 in student loans, and now I'm down to about $28,000 in student loans. And I've learned a lot from having to pay towards my student loans, trying to pay them off quickly. And I've done a lot of research into how to pay off student loans quicker, how to make things happen, how to pay student loans off, I feel like there's just all sorts of random strategies for paying off student loans, money saving tips, different ways you can cut your budget and do all of these things. And ultimately, paying off your student loans just comes down to 4 simple things. So I'm going to break down those 4 things for you today. The first one is to keep your rent low. Lowering your rent is one of the easiest ways to save hundreds of dollars a month. And those are hundreds of dollars that you can be putting towards your debt. I know right now that the market's kind of crazy when it comes to rent and things are super expensive. I know like where we're living right now, 1-bedroom apartments are going for $1,400 to $1,500 a month, which is just insane. It makes it really difficult to justify paying so much for so little. And I get that it's really frustrating, but if you can save a couple $100s a month, that's a couple $100s extra that you can be putting towards your student loan debt. And that'll just make you be able to pay off that debt so much quicker. So like for us, one of the mistakes that we made this year is that we kind of maxed out our budget on rent. So we are paying a crazy amount of money for rent each month. Technically, we can afford it. Like, yes, we can afford it. But it's a stretch and it makes it really difficult for us to put anything extra that we earn towards our debts. And that can be very frustrating, especially when you just want to get it paid off, because I know how much student loan debt especially can just make you feel trapped and stuck where you are, stuck in a 9-to-5 job that you might not like, stuck doing extra things that you might not like, and it's not allowing you to travel, it's not allowing you to do the things that you want to be doing, it's not allowing you to spend that money where you would prefer to spend that money. So I totally get wanting to pay that debt off fast, and one of the easiest ways to save those hundreds of dollars a month is on your rent. So even if you have to sacrifice for a year or a couple of years in a smaller apartment, but the rent is like a couple $100s cheaper, that's going to help you tremendously, and it's going to be so worth it. And I know how much it sucks having to pay so much for such little space, but to give you that freedom of being able to spend your money or save for retirement or like use that money in other places, it's going to be so worth it. The next thing you have to do is reduce your expenses. I think this is pretty obvious, but if you're spending pretty frivolously, if you're spending on all sorts of things that you don't need, if you're spending hundreds of dollars every couple months for your hair or your nails or to go clothes shopping or for things that you just don't need, then it's time to start cutting them out of your budget. I know when I graduated college, I started feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm rich. I can start doing all these things that I've been wanting to do but haven't had the money for. So I started getting monthly massages. I started getting waxed. I started like going and doing my hair and getting it dyed and getting highlights. And I started going on crazy shopping sprees, spending like hundreds, if not like $1,000 or a couple $1,000s on shopping experiences, buying things that I didn't need or wouldn't use. And it's time to start cutting those expenses. So start by looking at your monthly expenses. Look at some subscriptions that you might have that you're not actually using. If you're subscribed to like 3 different types of like TV streaming services, just pick one, cancel it. If you have a music streaming service and you have Amazon Prime, you're basically doubling up on music streaming because Amazon Prime has Amazon Music. And so there's all sorts of options if you really look in depth at your budget and think of where you can cut out. Another big area to cut is with food. I know for me, I spend so much money on food, mostly because I'll go grocery shopping every week and then not feel like that food and then go out anyway. So it's like double wasting food, killing the environment, wasting money. So really analyze where you're spending money. Maybe take a month or 2 to track your spending and see where some of those bigger expenses, bigger spending is happening, and try to cut that down a little bit. But I also know that you can only cut so much. You can only cut your spending so much. Even if you're living on the bare minimum, you can only cut so much. So what do you do next? You have to start making extra money. If you really are determined to pay off your debts sooner, you're gonna have to be making extra income somehow. You can get a second job somewhere, working part-time after work. You can do some freelancing online. You can join Fiverr or freelance.com or Upwork. You can start selling things. You could join Etsy, and if you're crafty and creative and you want to do that. If you have a little bit more time on your hands and you want to create something more long-term, you can create a business. You can start a blog, a YouTube channel, something that's going to take a little bit longer to build, but that can also have a great payout. There's so many options now for making extra money that you don't really have any excuse not to. So there's tons of different ways to make extra money. I'm sure I will make a video on it at some point. You could even do survey sites to get gift cards so that you can use that towards, holidays or grocery shopping or whatever. But just remember, you have plenty of options. So go on Pinterest, look at some of the articles that are there. If not, I'll be posting a video at some point on it, and then I'll put a link to it below. Those are pretty much all you can do, is just to cut your expenses and make extra money. And the last thing is to be patient, because if you're cutting expenses and you're making extra money, there's nothing more that you can do. You can't just pull money out of thin air and pay things off. You're gonna have to be patient. You're gonna have to take that time, wait it out, wait for it every single month. When you're just putting that extra $100, just wait for it to add up, because it will, and eventually that debt will be gone. And I know it sucks. I know some of you are in way worse debt than I am. I'm very grateful that I am where I am on my debt income, even though I don't like it. I know that I don't have hundreds, like $100,000 in debt or anything like that. I know that's more significant, but it ultimately just comes down to patience and time, and it will get paid off in time. And I am the worst at being patient, and it's really, really challenging. But if you're cutting your expenses, if you're cutting back, if you're making extra money, if you're putting what you can extra towards that debt every month, it's going to get paid off in time. So those are my 4 tips for you guys. Like I said, paying off student debt doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to use some crazy formulas. You don't need to yes, there are strategies for prioritizing the debt and selling everything you own and living off of nothing, but you don't have to go to those crazy extremes. All you need to do is keep your rent low, cut your expenses, start making some extra money on the side in whatever way you can find possible that's legal, and being patient. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below if you're struggling with debt and you have any other advice for us. We would really appreciate it. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye.